Okay, good afternoon and welcome to this discussion. Today we discuss matters education and gender, and today we are privileged to host three members. One Honorable Joseph Kellong, who is Kembu MCA. Honorable Kellong is a career educationist, having served for several years in different positions in the Ministry of Education. He is also the County Assembly Chair for the Committee on Education, Youth and Sports. We also have Honorable Cicilia Mutai. She's also a career educationist. She's a unionist, an expert in matters gender, and she holds a degree in arts, and she has served as a chair for Committee on Labor in the County Assembly. And we also have Timothy Korir, who is our research officer. He holds a master's in development studies, and he has done several research papers in the County Assembly. So, gentlemen and lady, welcome to this conversation. I'll start with my colleague, Timothy.
Okay, thank you very much, Edwin. Thank you for your introduction, and welcome everybody to this discussion. I'll start with Mheshimiwa Kellong. Mheshimiwa Kellong, you have served as the chairperson of Education Committee from 2017, and of course you are an active member in the in other county assembly committees. We all know that an ECD is one of the default function or default functions of the county government. That is according to our constitution that was approved in 2010. Now, Makichi has also given us a brief that you are a long-serving member, or your career you've served as an outstanding educationist. Now, as a chairperson of education, I served since 2017 in the county assembly. What has been your personal contribution or that of the committee as far as ECD is concerned?
Thank you very much. Since we were elected in 2017, a lot has been achieved as our committee in County Assembly, where I am the chair. If we look at the ECD, is a devolved function, and within that period, we have been able to come up with some bills. One of them is we have been able to improve the ECD infrastructure in every ward, within the 5 wards, the 25 wards that we have within the county. We've been able to start building ECD centers, which we had none, but we have been able to construct almost 500 within that period, with the achievement with the county government of Bomet. We have been also able to try all our best to push for employment of ECD teachers, whereby when we started in 2017, there were 647 ECD teachers who were serving on contract. But then at the moment, we have been able to push that these teachers who have been suffering, we were able to push them so that we have now about 1,220 ECD teachers who have been employed permanently, permanent and pensionable at the terms. We are also been able to improve, we improve their scheme of service, that what they were earning in 2017, we have been able to improve almost twice what they were earning. And we have been able to make sure that with the committee and the Department of Education, that is the CEC, the CEO, and the governor, we have been able to sit together and see that we improve the welfare of these teachers. So their salaries have been improved, and currently even there is a scheme of service which is underway that we shall be able to give them good salaries and even other allowances. So that is what we have been able to achieve within that period to improve their welfare. Other thing is that with the infrastructure, we also have had these ECD centers having chairs and tables for the children, and even we have been able to provide tanks that we can be able to get the water that they are using in their schools. So that's some of the achievements that we have been able to get within the ECD centers. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Kellong, for that elaboration. Now, Mheshimiwa Cicilia, you currently serve as the Vice Chair person for the Committee on Labor and Public Service. And also, you are an educationist by profession. What has been your contribution and that of the committee, your personal contribution and that of the committee, as far as the employment of ECD teachers is concerned? Mheshimiwa Kellong has mentioned that as the chairperson of education and also as the Committee on Education, they've done their part in as much as ensuring that ECD teachers are employed and their remuneration is improved. But now, as a chairperson of labor and as a committee, what have you done in ensuring that employment of ECD teachers is concerned?
Thank you very much, Timothy. As you put it, I'm Honorable Cicilia Mutai. But my background is a trained professional teacher. I'm currently serving as a Vice Chair at Labor and Public Service at the County Assembly of Bomet. My contribution to the establishment of ECD teachers and also putting them on permanent and pensionable terms was critical because we had to advise the Public Service Board that it was good to put them on permanent terms so that their terms can be improved, and we were sure that if we put the ECD teachers on permanent and pensionable terms, we shall be able to improve their services. They shall be able to improve their services. We can also deploy them. We can also promote them. So, my role as a vice chair was to work with the public service to ensure that we first of all establish these teachers who were put on temporary terms before. And then after we established, we had also to know their background, their training background, if they were meeting the laid down requirements to be put on permanent terms. So that we also looked at their ages, because we could not put those above 45 years on permanent terms. We also to see what we can do with them. Now, we were able to work with the Public Service Board with the goodwill of the governor, and we want to thank the governor because he accepted the advice from the County Assembly and that from the Public Service Board. So my role was to ensure that we follow the laid down regulations. We worked as a committee tirelessly to first of all establish and know the numbers vis-a-vis the budget so that we can be able to work together to ensure that we put them on permanent and pensionable terms. Timothy, we all know that any human resource, if put on permanent terms, can be able to improve their services. And we knew that this was a way of ensuring that the foundation of our children is well laid, and we knew that the children of this county were going to get better services, the welfare of those teachers as a human being will be improved. And we knew that we were going to touch the families. As we talk, we have more than 1,220 ECD teachers on permanent and pensionable terms. It was through our committee that we were able to work with the Public Service Board. Thank you.
All right, I think Edwin has something to contribute on that also.
Okay, thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. So, Honorable Kellong, I know when this assembly took over in 2017, the issue of ECD teachers was kind of controversial. I know you had to overhaul the whole structure, like we did not have scheme of services for the teachers. Also, most of the teachers also did not have the requisite qualifications. So how did you manage to overcome the same?
Thank you, Ed. As from 2017, as you rightly put it, there were teachers who were working and they had not even been able to, after being employed on contract terms. Some did not have even TSC numbers, which is one of the things that is required as a teacher. So we had to tell them to be able to get all those documents so that they could be able to be employed permanently. We had to sit with the department, that is the CEC, the CEO, even including the public service, to discuss ways that could be able to assist these teachers to be able to get the documents that are required. So we have gone through various stages in improving their welfare, even giving them time to get these documents for them to be able to be employed permanently. So I'm one of the trainers of these teachers. We've been training them for almost the last 17 years. I'm a trainer of teachers. So I knew the problems that these teachers had. So we had to give them time and even encourage them because they were working with a very little amount of money that were being paid. But currently, there is some improvement for these teachers. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Maybe as we wind up on this issue of ECD, Cecilia, you mentioned that as the Vice Chair of Labour and as a committee, you have played a critical role in ensuring that ECD teachers are engaged in proper terms. And I think that is, I can attest to that because I'm part of the committee. However, in recent times, there are still numerous complaints from ECD teachers, from some of the ECD teachers that they are not engaged on proper terms. In fact, there are complaints from one of the, I think 3 days ago, on Friday, I received a complaint from one of the representatives that there are still issues as far as confirmation of ECD teachers, terms, improvement of terms, contract terms, and so forth. That emanated from 2013 and they have not been solved until to date. How can the committee assist these people, knowing that we are almost done with the third assembly, and how have you assisted these people in the past in ensuring that their problems of blight are solved? Have you engaged the Public Service Board in the past in ensuring that their problems and issues are addressed in a proper way?
Thank you very much, Timothy. Yes, it is true that there have been some controversies over the recently engaged teachers by the Public Service Board. A major complaint was that maybe there were those teachers who expected to be given priority, but you know there are requirements before you are fully employed by the Public Service Board. And we know that the conflict normally comes because we have very few and limited opportunities or vacancies that arose. Some schools had vacancies, some schools had teachers, and some schools had never received any teacher. Now the priorities were given to those teachers who served in those schools. That is what we found out. But at times, maybe there is a teacher who has been in that school for so long, but do not meet the requirements by the Public Service Board. So what is done? Normally, the teachers are told to apply, and then the priority is given to this teacher who was in this school. Now, in a case where maybe the teacher do not meet the requirements, for example, you ought to have had the TSC number, the requisite requirement like the certificate or a trained teacher. We need trained teachers, and also at least the number of years in service matters. But there are those teachers who are served in private schools who also applied to this vacancy in a public school. And maybe the teacher who was serving in this public school do not meet the requirements. So what does it mean? We have to look for the second. And I am very sure the Public Service Board uses some criteria to award marks. So maybe conflict comes when that teacher who was serving in this school is not given the chance, yet maybe a teacher is taken from a private school or another school. The parents may complain and say that this teacher has served for so long in this school. But I'm very sure that the Public Service Board is fair enough to consider those teachers who have the qualification and meet the requirements by the board. But we still say we need more teachers, but we are working on a budget, and there is also a ceiling in every department, and we saw that the education department have a ceiling. Maybe it's a consideration in future to ensure that every ECD center gets at least 2 teachers. That is a future plan for this county, to ensure that we have 2 teachers per center, because we have PP1, pre-primary 1, pre-primary 2, and it is the work of the county, the governor, to ensure that all the ECD teachers, or ECD centers get at least two teachers. But as at now, we were to ensure that every center at least receives 1 teacher. So the controversy is that maybe a teacher who expected to be employed was not employed. There is also the political conflict. Maybe at times there are those issues. You cannot miss 1 or 2.
All right.
Yeah,
all right. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. I think that's well said. I wanted to ask Mheshimiwa Kellong, because I think he's been part of engagement with ECD teachers and their representatives. Mheshimiwa, you remember that there was a matter that was reported to the committee. It's a matter that has been brought to the committee several times, numerous times. And I think it was a matter that was also brought to the attention of another committee that was constituted to investigate on issues of employment in the county government. Now, Mheshimiwa, you remember that there was a complaint from an ECD representative who was saying that they were employed in 2013. They were issued with confirmation letters, and then I think some months down the line, their permanent and pensionable letters were withdrawn from them, and then they were issued with letters with 1-year contract letters. And I think that's a matter that they've always complained. In fact, they came to my office last week. They were still complaining that their matter has not been addressed fully, even though they were appreciating and saying the county government has done, they were appreciating the committee actually and saying the committee has done their part. The county government is the department, and I think the county secretary are responding. But this issue has not been resolved or addressed as a whole. Mheshimiwa, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think? Do you have an opinion and maybe a way of giving such an issue a lasting solution?
Thank you, Timothy. As you have really stated, we had this problem of confirmation of ECT teachers. As I put it earlier, when we took over, we had 647 teachers who were supposed to be confirmed, but they were on contract basis. There are also some teachers who were given letters in 2014, and when they were supposed to be confirmed, their names were not there. But over and over, we have been receiving petitions from these ECT teachers that they were supposed to have been confirmed by 2016 and are not being done. But up to now, we have been able to solve some of these problems. Of late, the few teachers who were still remaining unconfirmed were given that opportunity to undergo the interviews, and I think by the end of this month, most of them will have been confirmed, those who have not been confirmed. So I think these petitions that have been coming up, if there will be any, I think before the end of the year, they will have been confirmed. Those who have got the requisite the certificates that they can be able to present to the public service. And I think this is a problem that was there for a long time, but as a committee, we have been able to sit with the department, we have been able to engage the public service to make sure that this problem that had been persisting for long is solved once and for all. So I think teachers, be patient, things will be done very soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. So I think we'll move to a similar topic on the feeding program. I think it's being piloted for the ECD. And maybe you can describe for us what informed this program.
Before I say that, allow me to say that there are some challenges even in dealing with the ECD. One of them is we need to have, as my colleague had said, we need to have 2 teachers per school to be able to implement even the CPCs that has been started. And one teacher is not able to work on the 2 classes. But we have got the challenges of resources within the county, that we could be able to have 2 teachers per hour. But way forward, the county should be able to employ 2 teachers per every school, so that they can be able to cater for these 2 classes, the PP1 and PP2. The other thing is the infrastructure. Some of the new schools that have been started, they have they have no classrooms, even the chairs that they can be able to use. So these are some of the things that the ECD centers are facing, as for them to be able to implement what is supposed to be implemented within the classroom. So those are other challenges are there. So we, as we go ahead and we get more resources, especially from the national government, when we shall get some increment, we should be able to have this problem solved.
Okay, Mheshimiwa, maybe you touched on something to do with infrastructure. That's a challenge anyway. That's a challenge facing the ECD. Because with the introduction of the new curriculum, you understand now, as you say, that there's PP1 and PP2, and that will require maybe 2 ECD classrooms. Yeah. And what we currently have is maybe 1 ECD classroom that was constructed because it was based on the earlier curriculum. So, do you think that the county government has to again maybe construct an additional ECD classroom in addition to what they constructed, so that they can catch up with the demands of the new curriculum?
If we can see our ECDs there could be over 800 ECD centers. And currently we have been able to put up almost half of the ECDs in these schools. So we need, first of all, to complete round one, that each school get an ECD center. And then we can now come to having extra classrooms for the other classes. But there are some of them have got advantages. If we have got in big schools, we can be able to get classrooms that can be provided by the primary section. But if an ECD has been started away from that is a feeder school, it becomes a challenge.
All right. I think new things are emanating, and Mheshimiwa Cicilia, so that we wind up this issue of ECD once and for all, because I think Edwin wants to make a contribution on feeding program. Maybe because also you served as a committee member in charge of education at some point, or a member of committee education. This is something that there was a model that was proposed by the Ministry of Education in construction of ECD. And maybe based on your experience as an educationist, do you think that the county government is constructing, if you see most of course the county government has an effort, has tried in constructing an ECD, but again, there are other things that are required for an ECD, maybe a playground, maybe swings, because these are children. Based on your experience, has there been an impact on the infrastructure that has been done by the county government, and do you think that more has to be done to comply with the models that has been set by the Ministry of Education?
Yeah, thank you very much, Timothy. Yeah, it is worth noting that for the schools that have received or that has had the new infrastructure by the county government, we note that from those communities there have been mass movement from these schools that do not have the new model ECD schools to those that have the modern classrooms. First of all, the county government really did a good job, because we see for the newly put up infrastructures, they have fully equipped classroom for some, and I am very sure those that have just been completed will receive the furniture, because we have seats, chairs, we have tables, and the tables and the chairs have been painted so attractively. And, parents and the pupils share experiences. And I interacted with some few teachers sometime in my community, because I have great interest in education. I was a head teacher for over 17 years, and I know. They were telling me they have received so many new pupils for ECDs, and the children cry. They don't want to go back to those old schools. And even if they are traveling for long distances, they were still insisting they want to stay there. Number two, they were provided with tanks with water, and children love playing with water, and they drink water. And a lady teacher was telling me, please supply us with some cups, because we have had children crying and scrabbling for cups to take water from those tanks. So you realize that the infrastructure play a key role, even psychologically, and even in ensuring that the children are motivated to learn. And even the teachers, I'm very sure, those teachers with the modern classrooms deliver better, I'm very sure. Because one, for you to deliver or to teach so well and you feel that you have delivered a lesson, the environment has to be conducive. And I'm very sure this new build or set up infrastructure have well painted, complete classroom with chairs, tables, and enough textbooks, because we want to appreciate the Department of Education, because they even supplied the textbooks, and the children are able to have those textbooks. So you realize that those targeted schools have had almost everything that they required, including the teachers, because the teachers were employed, those who were employed were deployed to those schools. Or I don't know if it was by coincidence, because I can talk of a school in my place, Motigo Primary School. We have new ECD classroom, fully equipped with a tank, a new toilet, 4 units of toilets, 2 for boys, 2 for girls, and 1 for their teacher. And children are very happy. Now, there is a constrained resource, that is land. In a case where Mother Primary School donated land for the ECD, and you know it's a requirement that the ECD center have their own land and fenced to keep them away from the children from primary school who are interfering with their playthings and all that, and the security of the playthings, equipment and facilities have to be secured. That is a constraint, the land. And we realized that where the county government went to buy land, they bought enough and they put up 1 classroom. There is a challenge of the next classroom because we have 2 centers, PP1 and PP2. So it's now the work of the county government to plan on how to further put up another infrastructure, another classroom. So it's a challenge.
All right.
That constraint.
Thank you very much. My colleague Edwin.
Okay, Honorable Kellong, we are on a related matter on a feeding program. So I would like you to inform us on what informed this program.
I had stated earlier that I'm a trainer of ECD teachers. And one of the components of ECD is a feeding program. ECD centers programs cannot be complete without feeding program. Now, if you look at the age of the children, they need to be fed more times than grown-ups. So if we look at our county, though we think that we can be able to provide for proper nutrition, there is a problem. If we look at the national level of malnutrition, it's at 26%. But Bomet is at 6, which is very high. Now, what contributes to this? If you find areas special areas where there is a lot of tea, you find that milk is scarce in those areas. And even the prices of milk in those areas are high for people to be able to buy this milk and give the children. So you find that those are the areas. And it's these other areas are these centers where there are some people living in these small shopping centers. It's very hard for some people to be able to provide milk for their children. It can be provide for tea. So you find that you must be able to provide a feeding program. Now, our children, as I know, 90% of their brain is developed within the first 4 years of a child. So we must be able to give them proper nutrition to build their brains. Because if you look at 90%, the remaining, even if you try to do what after 4 years, they do very little. So what informed us is that we should be able to provide for our children to develop their brains, to develop so that milk is something that is something scarce for some of the parents to be able to provide. So as I said, it is one of the components that an ECD will not be complete. Programs will not be complete without feeding program. So what informed us is that we should be able to have this program. Apart from providing infrastructure, we also provide for ECD feeding program. It is supposed to be done by the parents, but most parents are not able to do that. Some children could be able to bring food to the school, to bring some snacks to the school. But if half of the children are getting that, then it will also spoil the learning of others, because some will feel that they have been left out. The other thing is, if we want to provide for all, every child should be given that opportunity to learn by being providing for them. The other thing is that it is a motivation. It's a motivation to the children. If you provide milk to a child, that child will not. There's no truancy in school, that they will be able to attend school every day, because they know they will be provided with their milk. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Maybe I wanted, maybe before I react to, I give some remarks. Maybe I wanted to ask Mheshimiwa Cicilia. Mheshimiwa, I say that feeding program is a component of early childhood education, and also as a mother, because also we know that you are a mother, and mothers are keen on the feeding program. Maybe I want to get your remarks on this. Was this a right call for the county government to undertake the feeding program, and what has been the impact so far of the feeding program? And we know that it started in this financial year, started some few months ago. Maybe has there been impact of the said program?
Yes, of course, Timothy. You know, as my colleague, the chairperson, Education, Honorable Kellong, has put it, a feeding program is key, is a key component in education, especially in early childhood education and learning, because the developmental stages of children is so much affected by the nutritional aspect. And it is worth noting that the county government did good by providing the feeding program. So far, it has had positive impact since the program started, because we have seen many children going to school, and some parents are hard appreciating it, saying that at least they are able to even continue with their work, because we know that mothers are so much involved in home activities, like they go fetch water, some even go for labor jobs so that they can get to feed them. But they are saying, so far, so good. And we want to say that the county government, through the governor, did good by thinking about providing milk as part of the feeding program, because milk is a whole meal. It's balanced, and it has calcium, which is required for the bone formation and all that. So it's a good idea. The question now is about the sustainability. Are we able to sustain as a county? Or even my prayer is that we keep it, because it is a good program, and it assists the parents. It also keeps as Mheshimiwa put it, our county is among those that have malnutrition issues at a very high rate, at 36%, way above the national percentage. So we want to appreciate the governor, by the way, and the Department of Education for thinking about it. And what we are saying, most mothers, most children from the rural setups had to go without food, right from morning, 7, the child taking breakfast at 7, up to noon, about 7 hours. That was so a length of time, and it was going to affect the development of our children. And we appreciate that, and I want to say it has had positive impact.
Okay, Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Maybe I want to now ask the chairperson some few questions in regard to the feeding program before we proceed to other topical issues. Number one, maybe 2 questions only, topical questions. Mheshimiwa, number one, we know that the feeding program actually was proposed was proposed in this to start in the current financial year. That was it was supposed to start on July 2021. Initially, you remember that there was money that was allocated to pilot the feeding program in financial year 2020-2021. But I think after the discussion and agreement, the piloting was not approved because of legitimate reasons. Then, now, Mheshimiwa, we know that the feeding program started probably, I think, on February, or I'm not sure, but it started way after the beginning of the financial year. What, as a committee, what are the challenges that led to the delay in starting the program? And then number two, Mheshimiwa, so that you can respond to the two questions, was the issue of the policy. You know, there must be a policy framework to assist in management and coordination of the entire activity of feeding program. As the committee approved the proposed policy on feeding program, and if not, how far is the process? Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy. Before I answer your question, there is something that I wanted to highlight to prove that providing milk has assisted the children to access to the ECD centers. Now, we started with 53,000 ECD children, but currently, as we sit today, we have got 56. An additional 3,000 have come. I've gone to the school, these ECD centers. It means that this has motivated the children to get access to education. Your question, coming back to your question, is we had budgeted for this for the whole year, but some challenges came in. First of all, we expected that we are going to get milk from a plant in Chebunyo that has been put up by donors with the assistance with the county government, but they were not able to complete the plant on time. So it took time, thinking that we were going to be able to get milk from this plant within our county. So it took time. So it reached a time when we saw that this thing is not going to be done very, very soon. So we talked with the department, and we had to source milk from other plants. So they had to go to KCC to provide for this milk. That's why it was started late. So that is one of the reasons why we were not able to provide milk on time. The other question is the policy. The policy of how this milk should be done has been done, but is yet to reach the assembly. We're waiting for them to give us, and then we can be able to see and then approve for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe a quick one, a last one, so that we proceed. Mheshimiwa Cicilia, you mentioned something to do with sustainability, and you said that could be a constraint that could affect the feeding program because and Mheshimiwa Kellong has really mentioned that this feeding program is a budget demanding. In fact, if you see the current financial year, the amount allocated to the feeding program is 118 million. But I think in the supplementary it was reduced by 40 million because the project could not start because of the challenges highlighted by the chair, Kellong. Now, we know that there are issues that were mentioned earlier concerning the feeding program, and even Mheshimiwa Kellong can attest to that. In your remarks, you mentioned that most of these centers are confined in primary school, all right? And this feeding program. So one of the concern was that in that primary school there are children in maybe class 1, class 2, class 3 who are still young, and and people said, when you give milk to those in ECD, what happens to those in class 1, class 2, class 3 who are seeing that their counterparts in ECD are receiving milk? So do you think that you mentioned about sustainability, the sustainability can affect the program, but do you think that the county government should maybe in future also provide milk to those school-going children, maybe in class 1 or class 2, class 3?
Thank you, Timothy. I think the county government is appropriating money to those devolved units. And we are aware that the primary function of education, the primary section and the secondary belongs to the national government, the Ministry of Education, and the ECD has been devolved to the county government. So this issue, we don't have to look at the functions that belong to another government. I think ours is to think about strictly what is devolved for us as a county government. And it will be sustainable because we shall be allocating budget. It is also upon those in departments and the governor to have the goodwill. And in this case, we know the governor initiated and has the goodwill, and we support it as the county assembly, as an oversight body, because we have seen the importance of the feeding program. This function is devolved for us, and it is our function, and we have to think about ways of sustaining it. Thank you.
Thank you, Farah. That's a good response, Mheshimiwa. So I think I think we need to move to another topical issues, and I think I'll ask Mheshimiwa Kellong, being the chairperson of education. Mheshimiwa, we know that also there are programs that you've approved in the budget. One of them is the issue of bursary. Maybe I'll give you maybe time to maybe give your overview on of what has been undertaken as far as bursaries and scholarship bursaries and scholarship. What has been your contribution as a committee and the chairperson as far as allocation of bursaries and scholarship is concerned? Do you have a rough idea of the number of beneficiaries since 2017? Thank you.
Thank you. When we took over in 2017, we had 4 students having scholarships in every ward. So in every ward, we had 16 students being catered for on scholarship. That is from Form 1 to 4. And then after that, we had to sit down and see that we are supposed to increase the number of students to be sponsored by the county government. And currently, as we sit, every ward have got 48 students being sponsored. That is 12 per ward, and a total of 48. Now, the other thing is that we have what is known as partial scholarship. That is, we are given to the students depending on the needs. Especially if we have students in day schools, give them between 4,000 and 5,000 shillings. And the other one depends on the schools that they have, and even the parents, how the parents are able to pay. So in every ward, we have about over 200 students being given partial scholarship. So if you look at 200 and multiply by 25, it's about 500.
Is it 500? Yes, 500. 5,000. 25 times 200.
5,000.
5,000.
So about 5,000. If you add now 48 by 25, it's almost about 750 So you have about 5,700 to 6,000 students being given scholarships or bursaries. Now, we had to sit down with the department for us to be allowed to get money from the exchequer. We had to sit down and prepare a bill that assisted us to be able to access this money. So we did that with a committee, and now we have got that bill that is being used. What I'm thinking is that we have been having all this. We have got 1 million for every ward for this partial scholarship, and I think in future that is a very little amount of money for every ward. So if we are able to get between 4 million and 5 million, most of we shall be able to provide for those needy children in every ward. So this is a way of improving this education standards in our ward. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Maybe also, I think apart from the Bursary Act that you approve as a committee, maybe it's important also to point out that there are also regulations that you developed, and they were approved in the House. Yeah. Now, in the Assembly. Now, Mheshimiwa Cicilia, I think we'll still make reference to the fact that you are an educationist, and it is a no-brainer that there are students or pupils who really need these bursaries and scholarship. Mheshimiwa has mentioned the total number of beneficiaries and so forth. Is it something that you can also attest that these bursaries and scholarship has had impact in our community?
Yes, Timothy. I want to say that initially when we came in 2017, I was a member of a committee on education until somewhere 2019. And I want to say that one of those recommendations we made was to the county government to initiate a bursary, a scheme to assist the bright students from needy families. I can attest to this documentary that the program has had positive impact. There are children in our communities who have been educated through these bursaries, and the families are very happy. They are very needy, and those students are brightened. They came out with A grades. I know of one from Tenwek High School. I know of another one from Litein, and another one from Tenkecha. Those students, there is one who came with B+. And those are from bright background, from needy background, very bright and needy students. There is one who was sponsored by county and from my former school, and I personally pursued to ensure that they benefited. And this boy did so well and is now currently in Kabarak, and it was just the close of the beginning of this year that the boy was admitted to cadet in the KDF. And the family are very happy, and still up to now, they are grateful for the program. Among the many development issues that we can have, it is good to target the education and the bursaries and how to meet the needs of the society. This is a very good and noble idea, and we have to think about sustaining it. It is really worth it.
Yes, maybe before I give Edwin, I think Edwin has something to contribute on this matter. You mentioned something to do with pride and needy. Was it this year, Mheshimiwa, that it was last year, towards the end of last year, that the committee was approved actually the Bomet County Bursary Fund Act together with these regulations? One thing that emanated from the discussions of the committee then was the issues of pride and needy. And I remember there were concerns from members, even the members of the public. They had concerns on this term called pride and needy. and they were saying that bright is a subjective word. For instance, how do you define a bright student as far as the county resources is concerned? Do the bright students only deserve bursaries or scholarship in the county government, knowing that what will be issued is public funds? Because, for instance, you will find that there's a student who scored 420, all right? And then there is also, and not so needy, but deserving. But again, you have a student who scores in KCSE maybe 270 and very needy, and from a public school, all right? So there was those concern that there must be a balance between this word bright. This bright and needy should not be so much be a main focus or subject as far as issuing of bursaries or scholarship to these to the students. What is your contribution to this? Do you think that when we talk about bright, issuing bright and needy, or making bright and needy as a subject of issuing of bursaries allocation will disadvantage other students?
No, thank you very much. On the issue about the bright child or brilliant minds, I mean, we are not using this as a subjective matter, but it's a way of gauging who is this student that has had good marks, who has been admitted to a school, and they are unable to meet the costs.
All right. So will you then consider a student who scores 231 marks to have done well? Because we had a case in the last KCSE, a student who scored less than 100.
Logically.
And he ended up scoring a B plus or a B plane.
Fine.
Yes.
You know, our system of education has a way of ranking students.
Yes.
And it is through the awarding of these marks that we can be able to determine this child will be admitted to a national school, this one will be admitted to a provincial school, and these are to be admitted to district schools and day schools. Now, I'm very sure this county government has been able to even educate, to provide funds and bursaries for those students in day schools, without taking into consideration the number of marks they got. So if you go to day schools, you'll be able to be told that this is a child who is sponsored by the county government. And the others who have been admitted to national schools have had maybe full scholarship. So maybe the difference will be those who are admitted to day school, national school, and full scholarship award. But it is also good to note that those who have had maybe as little as 180 marks have been disregarded. And those students who went to day schools have performed so well in their KCSE. We may not be able to really gauge the extent of performance until the child has had maybe to be admitted into a secondary school and has full-time, maybe boarding facility. I'm very sure there are other issues which subject these children to poor performance in primary school. There are issues of maybe the social background, the needy and the poverty level of every family, so that if a child goes to high school where they are provided with food, uniform, and some school provide even up to the toiletries, so that the child has everything that they need. And that is where you see them improving in their final scores. So in primary, they may have had maybe subjected to hardship. Like they go home, they find maybe the parents have had domestic issues, maybe they sleep without food. But when they go to high school and get everything, they now start performing better. And maybe the brain development of every child differ. There are those who develop gradually. There are those who develop IQ differ. I think you understand. But for this issue of marks, the KCPE marks may not really determine and show the extent of brightness of that student.
Right.
We may not be able to know until the end of Form 4.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. I think that's a matter that really need to, in future discussions,
Yeah.
I think that's a matter that that when professionals have to be brought in board to maybe to give further clarifications.
Yeah,
on
but
the issue.
Timothy, there is one thing I don't know if I brought it out.
Yes.
That the county government have been able to sponsor the children even in day schools.
Yes, yes.
They have been paying for them.
Absolutely.
But maybe not full scholarship.
Yes.
It is also good to maybe encourage those other institutions to really participate in ensuring that those who have been admitted to day schools or provincial district schools from needy background receive these funds or scholarship or even the bursaries so that they are all catered for. Because the county government may not be able to meet all the needs of the community and the society as a whole.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe Edwin?
To chip in,
Yes.
as my colleague has said, if we are supposed to use the marks, it becomes a problem. But for us to be able to break the ties, sometimes you have got 2 children who are supposed to sponsor, like the 10 of them in account. What are we supposed to use? If you find that they are almost the poverty level in the families are the same. So for us to be able to break that, we must be able to use marks. The other thing is that when we have such children, and then when you are giving them partial scholarship, they should be given more money. Now, if somebody is in a national school, I know there are some boys who have been in Kapsabet and they need a lot of money. So they are given up to 20,000 or even more as partial scholarship. Now, if you find a family who is not able to provide even day school, if they are given 10,000, that is the end of that is completing the whole year in the day school. So they are also provided for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. On this matter of bursaries, I also know that the same is being provided for by the Constituency Development Fund. And there's been some kind of lack of coordination sometime. So do you think this function can be best managed if it becomes a ward fund than maybe a constituency development fund if it's fully devolved, this matter of bursaries and scholarship, so that the same can be addressed from one center point?
Thank you, Edwin. You see, we have a problem. Secondary school function is not our function. That is why I stated in first that we had to come up with an act to be able to allow us to appropriate funds for this function. So if we leave for CDF alone, they will not be able to provide for all the children in the constituency. So the only challenge that you have said that you can be able to have a child being sponsored by both the CDF and the county government. But in future, this should be done in consultation with the relevant departments. That is the CDF and the county government department.
All right. Thank you very much. Maybe also along that issues of bursaries and scholarship, Mheshimiwa, honorable members, you are aware that there were also money that was set aside to assist in sponsoring or paying for fees, maybe to university students or those who are in colleges. The said amount was, I think there was an agreement between the county government and HELB to assist in in management or an issuance of the said funds. I think we've termed the said allocation as HELB. It is HELB actually, because HELB was given that responsibility to issue or refer even the applicants. Now, Mheshimiwa, as maybe before we ask you some few questions, maybe can you look, I want to give you a chance to maybe give an elaborate view on even why the county government or the committee was in agreement with the county executive to set aside funds for college students and those who are universities, having in mind that the said student can access the same help and also other funds from other bodies. This is your chance.
Thank you. I know this function also is not the function of the county government, but we came up with an act, and also we had to provide funds for this function. First of all, when we sat, we found that not all students get access to help, that is the national government help. And most of the students could even drop out without doing their exams because of lack of fees. So we sat down with the department and the governor, and so that it's better that we have some money set aside for our students in the universities. Now, in the first instance, we were able to appropriate 30 million for providing fees for our students. Now, we were not able to have it as bursaries. We wanted to have it as a revolving fund so that we build that kit so that our students could be able to access every time the money is returned to that kit. The other ones could be able to access that fund. So we came up with the act and coming up with a policy. And we were able to provide money in the first year, that was 2019. Now, going forward, we had some challenges, especially during the COVID period, funds delayed, and we were not able, because of other functions that had come up, we were able to provide, appropriate 20 million for that function. But the problem was the money delayed. They gave out 10 million as the first money that was sent to the kitty, and then another 10 million delayed. So it was later, and 20 million now was there. But you see, it is not now enough. The applicants are so many. If you think even including the college students, the 20 million is very little. So I want to say, in future, our aim was that we get that kit having over 100 million as a revolving fund, so that most of the students could be able to access that money. And then later, we wanted to have help manage it so that it can be managed effectively. So our challenge now is appropriating more money. Help can be able to do that job effectively for us. As we sat down with them, we were able to agree on the terms. Thank you.
All right. So thank you, Mheshimiwa, for that elaborate view. Maybe before we give Mheshimiwa Cicilia to respond to some of the issues, maybe you can clarify some of the issues that are on air. And the issues that have set controversy, maybe things that are submitted to the County Assembly, often as to regard to the entire kitty. Number one, Mheshimiwa, is that talking about help, we know that there are students who receive help, real help from the board. And then and the same students, of course, let's say they come from Bomet County. Some of them come from Bomet County, and then also the county government has also this kitty in place. And then there are instances where students again benefiting from help apply for this for this available kitty in the county government. Can a student benefit from these two kitties at the same time? And if they benefit, what are some of the criteria that have been put in place to assist in dispersing the amount? And number two, do you have a number of an approximate number of beneficiaries since the fund was or since the kitty was put in place?
Thank you. We sat with the people from HELP, and we discussed how this money could be given to students or appropriated to students. Now, the HELP people say they have sat down and told us that for a student to be comfortable in the university, that student should be having 144,000 shillings in the whole year for him to be able to get what is supposed to be used in the university. But if we look at what the HELP provide, some provide, there is a criteria that they told us they use to be able to come up with how much a student should be given, and they had to there is a way of determining how much that student should be able to get from what the information the student gives to HELP. So sometimes that student is given 30,000, another one is given 60,000, another one is 40,000, depending on how they have assessed that student. So for a student, our students, they also use almost the same method to be able to provide an additional money, so that the student could be comfortable. But you see, it is when you look at 144, even the money that is being given would be about 15,000, would be about 10,000. So it is just for this money to be able to assist these students who are really needy. So when we give this money, it is not enough. So very few students assessed that money.
All right.
So the second question is, I am not able by now to give you the number of beneficiaries by now.
All right.
But in the future I'll be able to give.
Okay, fair enough. Mheshimiwa, Mheshimiwa Cicilia, this is a matter that is not new to you as an honorable member, because the entire process of approving even this allocation was done here at the County Assembly. There are two issues that has emanated as far as the implementation of this kitty is concerned. Number one, Mheshimiwa, is that in the last financial year, 2020-2021, I remember at the County Assembly, I think there were issues. About the disbursement of fund, and a supplementary budget was done. Some amount was deducted from the kitty, and there was a lot of uproar from the Bomet University Student Association, that is Bokusa, and they said it was wrong for the county government or for the county assembly to deduct. I think we deducted around 10 million or 20 million, and there was an uproar. Do you think because you approved, you participated in the approval of this amount, as this kitty had an impact in our society, because you live in Bomet County and also you're a leader, you listen, as this had a kitty? Number two, Mheshimiwa has mentioned a very critical thing, that this money is revolving, actually. Revolving. It means that repayments, this money, this kitty has to be billed through repayments. And therefore, beneficiaries are supposed to repay, they are supposed to repay the allocation that was given to them, and then also their repayments also will be used to disperse to other beneficiaries. Understanding the prevailing circumstances of unemployment in our country, can this kitty survive the test of times, knowing that it is a revolving fund?
Maybe to start with your first question, that we participated in reducing the allocation, and indeed there was an uproar. But sometimes issues to do with money, budgetary issues, and during supplementary budget, we had to reduce because there were other critical departments that needed funds, like the health department, and also within the education anyway. So we had to reduce. There are those issues that arise because of, that's why we have supplementary budget. And indeed, the second question, why, if there has been an impact, yes, there has been an impact because these funds act as supplementary to what they get from other sources. Maybe there are those who didn't get from the board, Higher Education Loans Board, and if they get, there are those students from needy backgrounds, and the life in university is very expensive. Students need money for upkeep, the rent and all that, and the county funds will really supplement what is not adequate from those other sources. And we want to say, going forward, that's another question from you, is it sustainable? Will the county be able to sustain? Yes, it will, as long as there is the goodwill, as long as we look at the positive part of it. And also, because it is a revolving fund, are the beneficiaries able to repay? That now comes to the question of unemployment. These students, after completion of the higher education, they are not employed straight, and they can stay up to 7 years. And you see, there will also be delay in repayment. And I think there has to be grace period. And also, we look at a way of supplementing so that we ensure that the funds revolve. Those other beneficiaries will continue benefiting as we prepare others to repay. Those are the issues, the long-term plans, I think, and I want to believe that the education department were able to foresee such circumstances when the students, the graduates are not employed early enough as anticipated. So there are those issues. Also, I think it will also be good going forward, maybe to work at interdepartmental to ensure that maybe the county government establishes maybe those opportunities to ensure that the beneficiaries are engaged in elsewhere so that we can get them repaying back the funds. And we can work at the department to ensure that maybe the agriculture department establishes, maybe they set up agribusinesses to ensure that we engage those graduates as they look for ways of being employed. I think the same Department of Education have programs on internship. If we can be able to engage the graduates on internship to ensure that at least they pay whatever small amounts gradually as they prepare for full employment, that will also be a good way of actually bridging the gap of unemployment and after graduation, and also the to cap the situation where the graduates are idle and they can be tormented maybe psychologically. So we can engage them. We can plan as a county. There is a way we can work, and as leaders, it is also good to look at the society and the challenges and bridge the gaps.
All right. Yeah. So maybe last one before we move to another topical issue is that in our discussions about this kitty, it seems that the beneficiaries are university students, because I think we've talked about the life in universities. So it means in our discussion, the main people that should benefit from this fund are university students, but that is not so. What happens now to other students who are maybe in medical colleges like MTC, the others who are doing diploma courses, the others who are doing certificate courses, there are even students who are in our VTCs and who deserve also to be issued to this kitty. Do they also constitute a priority in terms of benefiting from this fund?
Thank you. We say this funds is not enough to gather for all these gather of students, but they consider medical students in the funds. But the other ones, those ones in Tibet, they are accessing loans and even some sponsorship. So we saw that it is better that we leave the people, the students who are in Tibet, because they are gathered for. Those ones in medical students, they are being considered for. The only group of people we should be able to see to help is students who are undergoing teacher training colleges. We should be able to provide for in future. As we think of even adding more money to that kit, so that they can be able to more students to access. If we come to vocational training centers, we are coming up. I think we did a bill, but we were not able to go. It never went through. I had brought one, but we were not able to. But still, it's there. We need to have this act for vocational training, and also a policy, so that we can be able also to provide bursaries to these students. So this is what we have been thinking as a committee, that also we provide for these students. Thank you.
All right. So thank you, Mheshimiwa. Maybe lastly, on the issues of education, we know that there are other things that are related to the education, like internships, but I think that will come out later. We want to go to the issues of vocational training colleges, that is the VTCs. You've talked about the ECDs, what you've done in ECDs, the issues of infrastructure in ECDs. You also talk about employment of ECD teachers, auxiliary support in ECD centers, feeding program in ECD. Now let's talk about again vocational training centers. What has been...
allow me to mention one thing that we are able to do.
Yes.
Has been done by the department.
Yes.
They also employed ward education coordinators in the 25 wards.
All right.
So that they can be able to gather for what is happening within the ward.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So we are talking about the vocational training centers. Has there been anything or what has been your contribution as a chairperson of the committee or by the Committee on Education as far as VTCs are concerned? You've talked about what you've done in ECD, and indeed there are things that have been undertaken in ECD. ECDs have been supported in infrastructure, employment of ECD teachers, auxiliary support in ECD centers, feeding program, and so forth. Has the same been replicated in our vocational training centers?
Thank you. When we took over, we had as far as polytechnic managers, which was on contract basis. So out of the 33 vocational centers, the county government has been able to employ principals to be in charge of those institutions. Now, they have also been able to employ a few instructors in those institutions. The other thing that has been done is they have been able to build some infrastructures within the centers. Some of them were started from the scratch, others were there. So they've been able to provide classrooms and workshops, and even dormitories in some of the institutions. As I said earlier, we should come up now with another act on vocational training so that we can be able to provide for these students, especially on bursaries, and even improve the scheme of service for the trainers in these institutions. So this is what our main focus is, to improve the scheme of service for our teachers or our instructors in those vocational training. And as we provide also for bursaries, we are going to bring in more students, because if they are able to access funds. And also we need to have, after training them, we should be able to provide them with tools that they are going to be used, the trade tools that they are going to use after leaving the institutions. So this is what we are focusing as a committee. But in future, we hope that this will be done to be able to assist our students so that they can bring in more students. This is part of, if we want to develop a community, we should be able to provide for this, for them to be able to understand and be able to have that passion of joining these institutions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mheshimiwa. Maybe there are some, I want to ask Mheshimiwa Cicilia some few, maybe one question. Mheshimiwa, you know that you sit in the Labor and Public Service Committee, and I think, and you are even the Vice Chair. We know that vocational training centers are meant to train special skills that are even needed in our county and even our homes. Those skills are basic skills that are very necessary in development of a society. As the Vice Chair of Public Service, is there anything that you've recommended for the Public Service Board to consider while establishing what we call staff establishment? Have they considered establishing careers or skills to give opportunities to our students from vocational training centers? You realize that at some point, most of the time we focus on skills from the universities and maybe polytechnics, and our requirements is that most of the basic requirements are maybe the degrees and diploma, but we don't give focus to giving opportunities to students from vocational training centers, yet it is even devolved to the county government. So I want you to maybe, is there anything that as the committee you've recommended or done to ensure that people or students from vocational training centers are also given employment opportunities by the county government?
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe to start with that, as a vice chairperson committee on labor and public service, and as a member, we were part and parcel of those who recommended to the public service the employment and confirmation of the polytechnic managers and the principals. Why? We saw that it was good for the county government to put them on permanent and pensionable employment terms for one, motivation, and two, as part of employment entity, the county government, to give opportunity to those who had not been employed to participate, to be employed as village managers and the principals, because one, it will motivate them. Two, it will actually give them to be accountable, and it will improve the performance of those polytechnics. In order for us to get the skilled personnel, we need to start with the management. Now, going forward, maybe we have not come to employment of those other skilled personnel from those graduates from the polytechnics. It is also good for the county government to develop a scheme whereby we get to employ them. But let me say, we were engaging the polytechnics, the personnel. We encourage to work with the education department to ensure that maybe the production of the furniture come from polytechnics, so that we can sharpen their skills. And that is what happened, because when we purchase from them, when we get them from there, it is a source of encouragement to those who are working there. We have also, maybe it is good before employment, permanently employing them in county government. It is also good to motivate them to realize that their skills will not go into waste, because they can establish their own workshops so that the county can work with them. They can also be encouraged to form maybe companies so that they can be working in partnership with the county government to get the 30% access to government opportunities. But in terms of employment, maybe we have not gone down, but we started with the managers and the principals.
Okay, thank you very much. You mentioned also that a key point that education department is working on with cities. I also remember that there was during the outbreak of COVID-19, the county government engaged Seaworth Polytechnic in development of masks and so forth. So at least there had been some partnership and tremendous engagements. Thank you.
Allow me to chip in. We expected that there was a program, that stimulus program, that's supposed to have been rolled out by now, where we are supposed to engage, the county governments are supposed to engage 500 people for that program. Now, they had said that five graduates, 5 diploma, and then 10 certificates. So I expect that as they roll out that program, they should include even people from polytechnics that have got certificates from that, so that they feel part of the group. Thank you.
Okay. So I hand over to Edwin.
Okay, as Mheshimiwa, now we move to matters gender and leadership. Mheshimiwa, I know you were specially elected in 2017 as part of the gender top-up. So as a woman leader in this county, what's your experience, especially in this second assembly?
Edwin, thank you very much. That is a very critical question, and it is an issue and a thorn in the flesh. And surely I'm a nominated member or elected as a gender top-up because of the gender disparities that we had during election. You know, in politics, you can never, yes, we exercise democracy, but you can never force people to elect give a gender, maybe women only or male. It's upon the society, but we want to admit that we are still living in a patriarchal society. And there are so many challenges that women go through, especially in political positions. First of all, the elections are determined by the financial muscles. And when we want to talk about it, sincerely speaking, women do not have as much strength or masculine part of when we talk about finances, because we don't access resources as men. For example, if I want to go for a loan, if I want to have a security like a title deed, all the names are in my husband or our fathers. So we are still looking at women. We don't access funds so easily. And number two, we go through a lot of intimidation during campaigns, especially in our setup. Maybe it is taken to be male-dominated, and it is true, but we still have to create awareness. We still have to tell people the importance of including women, having a balanced leadership, because that will only take us to a round table where we can make decisions as women, we can influence decisions, we can even talk on behalf of those women and girls. But that said and done, I want to say I was nominated to represent women, and in this county assembly, when we came in 2017, we had our lead governor, Dr. Joyce Laboso, who was a trailblazer. May her soul rest in peace, and we still think about her. Whatever we do as women, we still talk about her achievements, because she was bold, she was brave, she was brilliant and bright. She was a leader, a very influential leader. What even made me to come out and vie for a political seat is because of her strength. Because I felt it is high time that women take up political positions, because it is in these political positions that we influence and direct resources. And it's my take that, for example, we have different priorities, male and female. We have different priorities. And it is through the inclusivity that we are able to address the challenges in society. For our issues, we have different priorities. Men will prioritize maybe roads, while for us women, we'll think about maybe the food and the water. So when we are directing resources, we have different priorities. So if we have that balanced leadership, and we have both male and women around the table, we can be able to agree and really reason together that, yes, let us have this as a priority, maybe water instead of roads, and medicine instead of other infrastructure. So let me say, so far so good. We lost our governor, yes, but here we are. Our current governor, Dr. Hilary Barchok, took over and embraced women leadership, and we are grateful that we are included. At least we have about 4 or 5 female CECs, which is a strength. Yeah, we have the CEC Gender, Culture and Social Services, Honorable Alice Kirui. We have CEC Education, Juliana Yegon. We have CEC Trade and Cooperatives, Madam Julie Chepkuto. Yes. And we have CEC Health. I mean CEOs, not CEC, but CEOs. Health, CEO Health, Public Health. We have Medical Services, Madam Sedi and Dr. Chebose. And we have Economic Planning. So in the current leadership at the county executive, at least women are included. So we feel included, and that is a plus to the county government. So when we came here, we were faced with challenges, because the decisions that are made here are influenced so much by the county assembly's leadership. And you realize that most of it is male dominated. We only have the deputy whip as a woman, a deputy leader, deputy whip majority, and deputy whip minority. So those are the women in leadership in this county. And we have one woman in the county public service board. So there are those disparities, and they influence decisions here in the county assembly. And going forward, it is upon the leadership to ensure that women are also included, because at the county assembly, we have decisions to make. And they are influenced by the leadership, the leader of majority, majority whip, and those other in leadership. So there are those disparities that needs to be addressed in future. Otherwise, thank you.
Okay. On the same, Mheshimiwa, I know that I'm also aware you were once the chair for the Gender Committee,
Yep.
Gender, Culture and Social Service Committee,
Yep.
and you also you held a position also in the Women Caucus, the county. So 4 years down the line, what can you count as some of the achievements that you made when you were in that position?
Thank you very much, Edwin. Yes, at the county assembly, we want to appreciate the county assembly leadership through the speaker and the clerk, because they allowed us as women to form caucuses, and we are part of the national women caucuses. At the county assembly women caucus, I'm their chairperson. I was elected unanimously by the female members of the assembly, and I represent them here at the county assembly and at the national. We often meet at the national for other caucuses. I think the national parliament have their Kewopa association. Here in the county assembly, through the guidance and the leadership of the late governor, we were able to form Bomet County Women Association, which we started early in 2018, and we were really working very well, not until her demise. But along the way, there were challenges because we were coming out strongly to address the issues that were really touching on women, children, and the vulnerable groups. When we formed the caucus, we were assisted by the speaker, then Honorable Rotich Algak, who is now the deputy speaker. And we want to thank him because he's the brainchild, together with our late governor, who was also our patron. And we were able to launch our strategic plan, which carried along with it the activities we were putting together to ensure that we address the challenges and the gaps that existed in our county. And we had 6 key areas to address. That is the gender and leadership in the county, the FGM that was rampant in our county then, especially the eastern part of our county, that is Longisa or Bomet East. We also had the girl child and education. We had to establish maybe alternative rites of passage to address those issues that maybe existed that are culturally instigated. And until somewhere when we were launching, when we had some conflict with the county assembly, maybe some members thought it that we were growing stronger as women, and that is the key thing, that our caucus was killed. And I want to say it was then that we still had our late governor, and she also suffered some of the backlash out of this, because as a county assembly, as a caucus, we were growing strong and coming up with issues addressing the gender-based violence. We had even worked with the feeder, because we were now coming in contact with those other bodies that were also addressing the gender-based violence, the gender issues, and coming out strongly, addressing them, going against it. And through the political wing, now we were internally fought, and that is why I was removed from being the chair, Culture and Social Services, by the leadership of the assembly. And I have to talk about it boldly. I'm not afraid, because those things are behind us and we've moved. 4 years down the line, we have moved and we have harmonized. And we are also included back in the leadership. But it's not the way we were. Those objectives that we had were interrupted. And going forward, maybe we continue fighting and encouraging the rest really think on our perspective and take it positively, that we are not fighting the women, the male, or we are not competing, but we are trying to address the issues that are touching on our societies. But our focuses are different, and we may not understand each other clearly like that, but those things are behind us, and we are moving forward. Still, we have the Women Caucus, but the Bomet County Women Association was put under the table, and we now start focusing on the Women Caucus, the meeting with other caucuses at the national, and leaving behind what we were really to talk about as a county. But those achievements are there because as a caucus, we were able to visit the vulnerable groups. We visited a family in Mogogosiek, where about 4 members of the family were children with retarded, how do I say, they were mentally retarded, and one of the sisters were taking care of about 3 other mentally disturbed siblings, and she also had her own children, and the father wasn't well. So we were able to buy them a calf, and we provided with the food stuff. We also visited another family in Danai, and we were going around meeting women. We went to Chesoin Ward, we went to Kaboson to meet some women, and we were coming out strongly to really address the issues, especially the gender-based violence. And again, we were able to attend and organize and attend an alternative passage of right, because when we realized that FGM was rampant in our county, we had to think about it as women leaders, and how can we address, how can we create awareness. So we organized an education day. We went to Kaboson also, we went to Bomet Central, we went to Bomet East, and we attended one in Konoi. So as a caucus, I think we've done a lot. Another thing, we have undergone a lot of trainings through the help of our speaker and our clerk. We must appreciate our clerk, who is very, very supportive, together with the speaker. And they've been sending us for trainings and trying to assist us, facilitate us to travel, and when we are back, at least they are able to attach us some stuff. So we want to appreciate the county assembly in general, especially our clerk, because he gave us one of the staff to attach us to the caucus. And we have our books, we have our records for future reference, and here we are. We still have to live to fight another day.
Okay, thank you. Maybe to wrap up this discussion, Honorable Kellong, on this issue of women in leadership, from your own assessment, how do you see the position of women, especially in Bomet, in the political space? Are we there yet, or we are still behind?
We are still not there. But if we look at past 2017, we were able to elect our governor. And if we look at even nominations that have been taking place, I think there are, even in UDA, only 2 were nominated out of the 25 in the ward. So still, women still need to fight for their space within the political arena. And but when you look at other positions, like if you find ECDs, even coordinators, there are very many. ECD and principals in schools, there are also many these days, and even head teachers in primary schools. So they are trying to come up, but they are not there yet. So I still encourage them to work hard. And we also ask the communities to be able to give space to our women to grow, especially in the political arena. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you in agreement, Mheshimiwa? Okay.
I think I'm in agreement with Mheshimiwa Kellong. We are still not yet there because we still see the gaps that exist. Why are we having only 2 women? The second assembly had only 2 women who were elected, and this time we have seen 2 nominated to run on UDA tickets, and the likelihood of having the 2 coming is maybe 98%. So we still see that we'll have very few women elected into the county assembly. And this time round, there is no woman MP that has been nominated. And we see the discrepancy that exists and a looming gap ahead. There is so much to be thought about because as a county, we had a stride ahead of the rest of the counties because we had our governor who was now a role model. And we believe that people in the county will believe that women can do better. But there are issues, there are challenges that make women not to be elected, not even to vie for those elective positions, because there are so many issues that surrounds the position, the political position, including the patriarchal society in terms of the financial resource and in terms of what do you use when you are traveling around, when you are traversing the county. That's why we do not even have one woman aspiring to be a governor in Bomet County, because it takes so much resources and a lot of strength and a lot of manpower and strength, a lot of muscles. So we still have to maybe talk to our donors to create awareness and to work together in this journey. And going forward, maybe women, we have to up our game and talk together and say, where have we gone wrong? I see the issue of capacity, but one thing I believe, women have capacity. They can become better political leaders because we manage resources and we can do better.
All right. So thank you very much. I think we are almost approaching to the end of our discussion, but there are still maybe one or two questions that would like you to respond. Number one, Mheshimiwa Kellong, is that other than being the chairperson and being a member of Education Committee, of course, you are also a member of other committees, but there's a critical thing that we didn't touch as far as your other functions are. There is the activity, or there's the Department of Youth and Sports that you also oversight as the committee. There are also issues of internships that the county government engaged maybe graduates from various universities who are residents of Bomet to intern in various departments as a way of giving them experiences experiences. So, Mheshimiwa, what are some of the achievements and challenges that you've done as a person, being also a committee member in various committees? And also, maybe you can touch about the issues of internship. What has been some of the successes and challenges?
Thank you, Timothy. First of all, we appreciate the fact that youth department is not a fully devolved function. But we need to gather for our youths. That is why we have the Department of Youth and Sports. We know that there are so many challenges that is affecting our youths, and we have been able to come up with an act on internship, so that we could be able to gather for our youths. so that they get the experience in our departments as they move out. Because most of the time when somebody goes for interview, they are being asked the experience they have undergone in their field of expertise. So we have been able to establish that internship, and every ward was given 10 slots, giving a total of 250. So this has been done for the last 2 years, and I think it is almost successful, though it's not enough. Our youths are so many, and they need to be given that chance. But our main thing is that it's a constraint of resources and finances to be able to have more. But I think as we go forward, we can be able to even have up to 20 per ward, so that they can go get some experience at least in those fields. We have got so many challenges in Department of Youth, but we have been working on a youth policy, which we are still is almost in the final stages. When you have a policy, this policy can go a long way in helping our youths. Now, for example, sometimes tenders are given, and the thing that they give, they said, this one is for the youths, this one is for women, this one is open. So sometimes our youths are not able to get these tenders. So we need to have a policy that even if it is 30% of this must be given to youths within that ward for them to be able to do those tenders. Because it's an open tender. Any youth can come from any part of this country. And because of the finances that they have, they can be able to take all the tenders. So we need to come up. And I've asked our youths that they also come in and give us their views. They give us their input so that we have a policy that can be able to help our youths in future. So I'm asking our youths that we need your inputs so that you can come up with a policy that can be able to assist our youths. That is the needs of our youths. We are working on that. And the other thing is we are able to provide for our youths some funds that they can be able to start their businesses. That is the revolving fund that has been established in the Department of Social Service. Yeah, trade, not social, trade. So they can be able to access those funds to be able to start their businesses. Thank you.
All right. So thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. I go to Mheshimiwa Cicilia. Mheshimiwa Kellong has mentioned something to do with County Enterprise Development Fund Act that I think we approved in 2020 or 2019, thereabout. We know that you serve as a committee member in the Committee of Trade, and we know that you've participated in the activities that pertains the approval of that act, and even vetting and approval of the nominees to serve in the various boards and committees created by that County Enterprise Fund Act. And other than that, Mheshimiwa, we know that also as a member, part of the oversight mandate is coming up with motions and statements. So are there motions and statements that maybe you've developed and approved in this assembly as part of your oversight role or mandate?
Yes. In terms of, let me talk about the County Enterprise Development Fund. My committee approved. I belong to Trade and Enterprise Cooperatives, and we approved the act. And then I also participated in vetting the members into the board, and the board is fully fledged. It's now to roll out the activities, and it's upon the youth now to access the funds, and we want to encourage the youth of this county to make use of the funds, apply, and ensure that you have information. Information is power. Not only youth, but even the women of this county. Now, you have asked if I participated in any other thing apart from the act, which I participated in 2020. I also came up with a motion way back in that was around 2020. This motion was compelling, asking the prayers were asking the county government of Bomet to come up with a regulatory program into children's home to vet the establishment, to regularly carry out inspection programs to establish the welfare of the children, whatever activities that are happening there, the security of the children. This was after an incident that was reported from Boita Children's Home by the infamous Gregory. This person was molesting the children and violating their rights by raping them, carrying out sexual activities. There were deaths that were reported, and really we were not happy. We were saddened by all those activities. And so I thought to come up with a motion to ensure for this county government, to ensure that there are regular checking, regular inspection, and even the vetting of those children home, so that we can be able to be part and parcel of what is happening, because these children belong to this county. We are happy for what the national government did, because actions were taken. The man was really followed, and we are happy for the intergovernmental organs, and because the man was at long last jailed, and we are happy for the action. But what happens to the lives of the girls that have been spoiled? It is still, there is a gap, because we were told that it is the work of the national government to inspect the children's home. So it is not the function of the county. But the children and the parents that are being served belong to the county. What happens to them? So there are those gaps, and also there is a conflict in functioning of these governments, because if we say the regulation of the children's home belong to the national government, yet they are found within the setup of the county. The children, when they suffer, belong to the county. And we are on record that our governor has been going round together with the First Lady, visiting these children's home, providing them with the food, providing girls with the sanitary pads and towels. But we have never seen the national government coming in, because we feel we are the closest as a unit. So there is a conflict within the default function. Just like what you are talking about, the education, there is still conflict even in this department. Otherwise, we got back the report that the national government was aware and it was going to take some actions. We were following it up, but the school was closed, and we are happy that maybe some actions were taken. And going forward, it should be the county government that regulates and do the regular checkups. Thank you.
All right, so that marks the end of our discussion. But before we wrap up, Mheshimiwa, we want to get your views on something that we have here. But I think because of the gender issues that we've discussed, I want to give Honorable Cicilia the luxury of being the first one to maybe respond here. Or maybe, Mheshimiwa, it seems
that is
we
one-
forgot you.
You forgot me something else.
We forgot you on the motions and the
Not
statement.
even the motions. Huh?
Yes, yes, all right.
There is this department of sports. This is a crucial department also. I said we have education, vocational training, youths, and sports. Those are 4 departments. So we have discussed 3 of them. And that is the Department of Sports. And I want to say we have been able to achieve a few things in the Department of Sports. Though we have a problem, especially dealing with our youth, especially in sports, games like football, we're not able to gather for them because it's an expensive affair. But we have been able to provide a few things for them. Now we have been able to have a very magnificent, it's not very easy to pronounce for me, on Youth and Sports Center in Tegat. A good one, where we are able to accommodate 96 athletes in the same self-contained rooms. This is going to be one of the international centers for sports. We have we went to Iten and benchmarked, and we came back and put up a very good facility, which is yet to be opened very soon or launched soon. We're waiting for our 5th president to come and open for us. We also have one in Mbama's ward. That is a center for talent center for sports also, which is almost ready. We also have done some fields like Celebrate Stadium, which has been done by the department. So we also were doing the controversy of IAAF stadium, but we moved and focused on Celebrate Stadium, which is also a good one. So those are some of the things that we have been able to achieve in the Department of Sports. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mheshimiwa. And sorry, we almost forgot to give you an opportunity to further elaborate or give your remarks as far as the Department of Sports is concerned. Now, as we wrap up our discussion today, I want to start with Honorable Cicilia to give us the experience. How has been, or what has been, or what have been your experience in the second assembly? And number 2, what are your thoughts for the third assembly? Is there anything, if you are given a chance today to again be in the third assembly, is there anything that you'll do differently? Thank you.
Thank you. My take on the second assembly, I want to admit it has been a very good institution that has sharpened my skills. At least I'm a better leader than I came. I'm a better politician than I came. I'm better focused than I came. First of all, I want to really appreciate the trainings that we undertook in the early stage. I want to appreciate the staff of this county assembly and say that they form the most very important and critical part of supporting us in terms of, we've had committee sessions, and I want to say that we have one of those very, very skilled and very sharp and very committed staff in this county assembly, led by Honorable Clerk, Mr. Kitur. And it is through their trainings, the trainings outside and inside, it is through those committee meetings and participation that we have been able to have the insight of issues pertaining our county and even the country at large. So I want to say I'm a better person than I came. I came as a teacher, but I'll go out as a politician, a better one, and a better leader. I will amalgamate my profession and the political skills that I've gained. And given an opportunity, I want to say I'm committed to working to ensure that we serve the people of this county better, to deliver services, to talk on their behalf, because I came here representing women. I may not have done what I thought I should do, but given an opportunity, I know there is a difference between a nominated member and an elected member. When you are elected, it's like you are given fully fledged office, and you can talk freely about your ward and your people. But when you are here as a nominated member, you may not have that voice. When you try to address some issues, it's like, whom are you addressing? From where? From which ward? You know? That is now on political perspective. But I want to say, if I'm given a chance, I will say that we include women in all the sectors here in the assembly. And I will want to urge the members not to become very discriminatory. Going forward, I don't know if it is on policy level or the act, because there is no clear cut line between a nominated member and an elected member. The functions here, it is like when you are nominated, you are there to earn that salary and just keep quiet and you don't talk. If you talk, it's like you are going against someone or infringing or stepping on someone's boundary. So going forward, I think the nomination office should be fully fledged, and the roles are described clearly, so that we can work to improve the services to the people of the county and the country at large. There is also one thing: it is good to build leaders, and the county assembly can become a very good breeding place for leaders nationally and even at the county level. So it can become a good breeding place if we become all inclusive, if we give each other space, and if we think about our mothers, our grandmothers, our sisters. Because I want to say, men do not want to talk about their wives, but I want to encourage them to take us as their sisters, their mothers, and their grandmothers, so that you can include us in whatever decision you are making, and so that we may not think like there is a section of those sub-members and there are this very special group of members. Because out of it, we may not be able to discharge our mandates as clearly as indicated. But we want to appreciate the opportunity we were given. But as politicians, we want to say, it is good to build politicians. It's good to build one from this stage to the next one. So I want to urge even the leaders, the party leaders, I want to encourage to build the women in politics. It's not good to dump them. It's not good to just bring someone up to a certain level and you leave them behind. If we hold hands up to a certain level, we'll be able to breed better leaders, better women, and a better society, better county, and a better country at large. So that is what I can say.
All right. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Now I want to give a chance to Mheshimiwa Kellong. What are your thoughts of the second assembly? And being an elder, what would you advise the third assembly? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to say the second assembly has been a nice one, though I don't want to compare with the first one because I was not in the first assembly. But the assembly has done what they are supposed to do. They have tried their best, and we did our best for the last 5 years that we were given this chance. to be able to serve the people of Bomet. And I want to say, I want to ask the third assembly to emulate the second assembly and even do more by bringing up bills that will be able to assist our assembly, our county. So I want to thank all the members of this second assembly for their contribution, for the hard work that they have done. And I also want to thank members of staff. You have been so good to us. You have been able to assist us in our committees, in various departments. And we have learned a lot. I've learned a lot, especially myself. I say learning is a continuous process. It's good to sit and learn on how an assembly is supposed to be run, and even the debates that are supposed to be there in the assembly. And I want to say thank you to the members. Special thanks go to our clerk and even the speaker for the guidance that they have been able to give us as a second assembly. They have done their best, and I want to thank them. All members of the county assembly, we have been cooperative. We have sat as a family. We have stayed as a family, and I want to thank all the members and members of staff. As an elder, I want to say the third assembly come in and work for the county, work as a team to be able to achieve. If we come in and as a divided assembly, we are not able to even pass bills and that are required for our county. So I want to ask the new people who are coming in as third assembly that people are watching you. They want you to work for them. They will give you a chance to work for them and work diligently with that unity, a unity of purpose. So I want to ask them to work as a one team, and then we will be able to push our county forward and not backward. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. I think we appreciate everything. Now we hand over to Edwin.
Okay, thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for your wise advice. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this discussion. It has been so fruitful. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank my committee most sincerely. Thank my clerks, starting with Edwin, and all the clerks that we have been able to work together. And Timothy also especially for the research he has done for us. And then also the legal department who has been able to advise us. I also want to thank the people of Kembu for giving me that chance to work for them. I have done what I was supposed to do. I have tried my best, and I want to thank you for giving me that chance to serve you as your MCA for the 5 years. I also want to thank my family for assisting me. Thank you very much.
Do you have some parting shot?
Yes, as a parting shot, Edwin, let me take this opportunity to thank God for bringing us this far, and also appreciate the panel and the team who ensured that I was nominated through the Jubilee Party. Then Honorable Ronald Tanui, wherever you are, thank you. And my late Governor, Dr. Laboso, may her soul rest in peace, for really pushing my name forward and ensuring I'm in this assembly. And to the county assembly, I want to appreciate the leadership, Honorable Majority, Leader Majority, because we have consulted so many times, and the whip. Also, my clerk, Honorable Kitur, thank you. Thank you for being there for all of us, and our speaker and former speaker, the deputy governor. I want to thank you wherever you are and say you are a man who ensured that we formed the caucus. And to the members of County Assembly, we have been a family, and it's good we've worked together, and may God bless each and every one of you. To my committee, the Gender, Culture and Social Services members, ECHO, and I want to appreciate everyone, Honorable DS, and also Clerk Chemngeno Jessica. Thank you. She's up to her task. And to the members of the Labor and Public Service, my chairman, Charles, who has been delegating duties to me, believing and trusting in my leadership. I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to exercise my leadership. And to members, thank you for working together. Our clerk, our very able and dedicated and very a very, very tough lady, Jessica Rotich. Thank you wherever you are. To the clerk and everyone, you are a strong team as staff of this county assembly. Thank you. To our researcher, thank you, Timothy. You are doing great job. And to Edwin and your team, first, we work together in Gender, Culture and Social Service. You are my clerk, and you are you've made us strong, and that is why we were able to pass some bills and come up with some policies, and because of your leadership. To everyone, thank you, the Hansard team, Koech and your team. We want to appreciate everyone. And to the women of this county, we live to fight another day. We still have so much to do, and I think we believe and trust that one day we'll work to ensure that we improve the lives of our people in Bomet County. Thank you.
Okay. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience and your contribution in this discussion. We would like to end it there. Thank you very much.